In 2016, the Democratic presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, received 65.8 million votes, while the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, received just under 63 million. Clinton won the national popular vote by a 2% margin, 48% to 46. Yet she lost the presidential election when the Electoral College voted 306 to 232 in favor of Donald Trump, giving him a 14% margin of victory in an election where he lost the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. How did this happen? Today, we will discuss the Electoral College, its history, its impact on representation, and how its tendency to produce wrong winners demonstrates the need to abolish it. The U.S. Constitution is a truly remarkable document. At the time of its inception, no other country in the world had a representative democracy with leaders chosen by popular election. In fact, the idea was so revolutionary that the founders were not sure it would actually work, at least not for the chief executive, the President of the United States. Historian Dave Roos notes that one faction of delegates feared corruption and consolidation of power should the leader be chosen by Congress, while the other faction declared that the uneducated masses were unqualified to directly elect the president. So the Constitutional Congress settled on a system based on the Holy Roman Empire, whereby voters would indirectly elect the president by voting for a slate of electors who would then elect the nation's leader on behalf of the people. James Madison, who stood against this system, stated that after 21 days of debate, the Electoral College system was written into the Constitution as the result of a combination of fatigue and impatience. So when we go to the polls in November to elect the president, we're not voting for the president. We are voting for the set of electors we want to represent us when the Electoral College convenes in December to cast their votes for the president. The Electoral College is inherently disproportional. It is comprised of 538 electors, and to win, a candidate must win a simple majority of 270 votes. This is called first past the post. The number of electors each state receives is equal to its representation in Congress. So its total number of representatives in the House plus 2 for its 2 senators. Washington, D.C. gets the same number as the smallest state, 3 electors. Because each state has only 2 senators, regardless of size, the number of electors is skewed in favor of small states. In the 2020 presidential election, Wyoming's 3 electors each represented roughly 190,000 residents, while California's 55 electors each represented over 700,000 residents, giving each voter in Wyoming 4 times the influence over the presidential election as each voter in California. This imbalance of power is malapportionment, the unequal distribution of representatives within legislative districts, or in this case, states. But how did Trump win the Electoral College by such a large margin when he lost the popular vote? 48 out of 50 states, plus DC, use a winner-take-all system, whereby all of the state's Electoral College votes go to the winner of the statewide popular vote. For instance, in 2024, 2.9 million people, 51% of voters in North Carolina, voted for Donald Trump's electors, while 2.7 million people, 48% of voters, voted for Kamala Harris's electors. Yet, as a result of the winner-take-all system, all of North Carolina's 16 Electoral College votes went to Trump. The combination of malapportionment and the winner-take-all system has produced a mechanism whereby a presidential nominee can win the popular vote but lose the presidency in the Electoral College vote. This occurred in 2016. It occurred in the year 2000. In fact, it has occurred in 5 of our nation's 59 presidential elections, and that violates the democratic principle of one person, one vote. To understand how the Electoral College violates the one person, one vote democratic principle established by the Supreme Court in the 1963 case Gray v. Sanders, we must first understand how malapportionment impacts the Electoral College. Jonathan Service and Bernard Groffman explain that because every state is assigned or apportioned 2 Senate votes, regardless of population, 17% of the population controls 50% of the Senate. This is malapportionment because this 17% of the population from the 25 least populated states has the same voting power as the other 83% of the population from the 25 most populated states. Apportionment is population-based in the House, but as the Electoral College votes are determined by total number of legislators from the House and the Senate, 44% of the population from the 25 smallest states has the voting power of 56% of the population from the 25 largest states in the Electoral College. However, voting strength alone does not explain the wrong winner phenomenon. This occurs because of the winner-take-all system that applies in most states. If we look at the 3 states with the most voters in 2016, California, Texas, and Florida, Trump received 13.8 million votes, while Clinton received 17.1 million. But because Trump won both Texas and Florida by narrow margins, he received 65 Electoral College votes, while Clinton received only 55. Hoog, Steers, and Louis Beck in 2023 explained that the winner-take-all system functions to amplify the Electoral College winner. This amplification is what Trump called an unprecedented and powerful mandate to govern in his 2024 acceptance speech. However, Hoog goes on to declare that as presidential elections grow tighter, the risk of the Electoral College producing wrong winners increases. Hoog further states that selecting the wrong winner is the worst possible outcome, eroding the legitimacy and the democratic support for the institution. No one believes that the Electoral College provides proportional representation, not even the defenders of the Electoral College. In fact, they say, that is the point. The conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, states that the purpose of the Electoral College is to swing the balance of power towards smaller states, preventing what it calls the tyranny of the majority. It is for this reason that in a 2011 speech at the Heritage Foundation, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell called the National Popular Vote Compact the most dangerous issue in America. Truly abolishing the Electoral College would require a supermajority of both the House and the Senate to effect a constitutional amendment. But the National Popular Vote Compact provides a clever workaround. By joining the compact, states pledge that they will assign all of their Electoral College votes to the national popular vote winner, regardless of their personal state's popular vote winner, effectively nullifying the malapportionment of the Electoral College. In order to take effect, enough states to cross the 270 vote threshold would have to join the compact. Earlier this month, Virginia became the 18th state to join, bringing the total number of Electoral College votes in the compact to 222, 48 short of the threshold. Many citizens would like to see this change occur. The Electoral College is deeply unpopular. In 2024, the Pew Research Center found 2/3 of Americans favored replacing the Electoral College with a national popular vote. A Gallup poll in the same year produced the same results with a 60-40 split. Both polls also showed that while 80% of Democrats favored the transition, only about a third of Republicans support the change. This is because, as political scientist Bernard Tomas has determined, the Electoral College setup favors the Republican Party. Will the next U.S. president be determined by a national popular vote instead of an archaic electoral college system designed to protect the uneducated masses from the tyranny of the majority? Only time will tell.